LEGO Minifigures Online. It's a massively multiplayer game being developed by Funcom for release in the second half of 2014. It's being developed for the PC as a downloadable client, but also to be playable in the browser, so you can just go to the website, click play, and off you go. Today we're going to show you a little bit of the mythology world. So this is the land of Zeus and Hades, of Harpies and Satyrs. You move with the left button. You've also got an ability with the left button. This means even the youngest players will be able to just hop in and have fun and smash things by just moving and attacking with the left mouse button. You'll also notice that we have 3 portraits here. So there will be close to 100 minifigures in the game when we launch, and at any given time a player can have 3 of them at the ready. These 3 that are at the ready you can freely switch between on the fly. So while the less experienced players can get by just using the left mouse button, more advanced and experienced players will quickly realize that they actually have access to 6 abilities. LEGO will be launching a series of the minifigures that will launch alongside our game. Each of the themed worlds will have a hero minifigure that will be part of that series, and our designers and artists have actually been working very closely with LEGO to design the minifigures that will go into that series. But when you open those bags, you won't just be getting a minifigure. You'll also be getting a code that you can enter into the game and start playing with your new toy, both physically and digitally. The Cyclops, as cool as he is, he's actually a pretty bad builder. He's not very smart, so he builds very slow. The DJ is a creative minifigure, and that means he's very good at building things. That starts to become important when you encounter buildables in boss fights or in PvP. So now we've entered the dungeon. Because the dungeon is a higher challenge area, we need to think very carefully about the minifigures that we choose to use. So first off, we're going to select the roller derby girl. She's pretty tough, but importantly, she has an ability where she summons her roller derby team. They fly forward and smack into the enemies, knocking them back. This will help her have maneuverability inside the dungeons. Next, we've got the fairy. She looks very cute and nice, but she's actually one of the highest damage minifigures we have in the game right now. And lastly, we're going to choose the Galaxy Patrol. He's a good mix of offense and defense. He's got a laser that bounces off walls, and he can throw a grenade that will bounce the monsters up into the air, giving him an escape route if he needs it. So the Forge is a dungeon, and it's at the top of a mountain. So we're right now at the base of the mountain. You see there's lots of green. We're going to be going inside the mountain. We'll be outside the mountain, climbing up. Because we have a lot of young players, one thing that we know that they really like is variety, especially in the environments. So by going inside and outside, but also at the same time going up in elevation, well, in this one playfield we can give several different environments. I think the artists and the designers have done a really good job in their world building with this.
One tool that we use to create our world or to create all the LEGO assets that we use here is we use something called the LEGO Digital Designer. This is a tool that is free to download, it's available in the LEGO website, and with this tool you can put together bricks following the LEGO system of building. And we use it internally in-house to create all these assets that you can see here. This column, for example, that you can see in the game, was built that way. If you had those bricks at home, you could build it yourself.
And that's true of everything made of LEGO in the game. Because it all follows the LEGO building rules. If you see it in the game, if you have the bricks at home, you can build it.
Yeah.
Anytime there's loot on the screen, that loot is for you. There's never any stealing of loot or kill stealing or anything like that. Everybody gets credit. Everybody gets their own loot. You see that these stars we've been collecting all over the place. So stars work like experience. They're actually a currency. You collect stars and then you spend them to level up your minifigures. All the minifigures can be leveled up to 10. And as you level up your minifigures, their abilities will become more powerful and you'll unlock additional effects and properties.
One of the reasons the fairy is so powerful, is, which we mentioned before, is because of this shield that she can create, those 3 sprite helpers that she can call. It has a double function. On one side it acts as armor. Each one of those sprites will take 1 hit from a monster. But also each one of those sprites can be used by her attack on the left mouse to shoot 3 stuns instead of 1. So when she's using the shield, she does a ton of damage. But the important thing here, though, is that you can put up the shield with the fairy and then switch to a different minifigure, and it will keep the armor effect. So then you can build your team around the concept of using the fairy shield and then switching to a very high damage minifigure or a very tanky minifigure, however you please.
You also see that there's a green barrier here, and that barrier signifies a commitment point. Once you cross that barrier, it will turn red, and you'll be unable to retreat. So you cross the barrier, you know, okay, I'm going to fight a boss. So we're going to fight this ogre, and he's quite powerful. And you'll see that we have buildables in the room. Building will be a central part of the strategy for defeating every boss. And the building will always be different. In this case, we're building a lightning rod. At certain points in the fight, the ogre will summon these orbs of lightning. And these lightning orbs will follow the players around, and they do a lot of damage. So once a player has been attacked by a lightning orb, they can run to the lightning rod, and the lightning rod will absorb that lightning damage. So now the ogre has been defeated. We've earned ourselves a minifigure for defeating him. There are several different ways to get minifigures. You can get them by defeating bosses and mini-bosses, but you can also get them by exploring the world, by earning achievements, completing missions, and sometimes you'll just get lucky and find one in a chest. And when you get a minifigure, they come in the bags just like they do in the real world. You don't know what you're going to get until you open it, so you get that surprise aspect of it. After you defeat a boss, you always get to go into a treasure room where you get to smash lots of things and collect lots of shiny stars and bricks. So normally at this point, we would take our gyrocopter and fly out of here. But for this, we're actually going to teleport into another dungeon. And this dungeon is the underworld.
In this area, we're fighting skeletons. The skeletons are one of the more advanced monster types in the game. It's not because the skeletons on their own are very complicated monsters, but they're quite simple. But it's mostly about the synergy between the abilities of the different skeleton types that we have. So here you can see the skeleton warriors, they are the little dudes with the helmets, and then there's the skeleton archers sometimes. The warriors run at you, sometimes they run faster when they get angry, and they just smack you in melee range. The archers stay behind and shoot arrows at you, but they don't just stay behind, they try to actually stay behind the warrior line. And there is player-to-monster collision, so you cannot just ignore the warriors and get past to the archers. You need to teleport behind them, there's abilities to do that. You can throw projectiles above the front line of the warriors, or you can just deal with the warriors first and then kill the archers while you avoid the arrows from the archers. There's also advanced types of the archers, which are the sorcerers. These throw fireballs and they can also summon a bunch of warriors to assist them. So they are a priority target whenever they show up. And there's also a new type as well, which is an advanced form of the warrior. They carry big shields and a trident, and with these shields they can put up a protective bubble which absorbs a ton of damage. So you need to figure out a way to either stop them from using the shield or break the shield once they put it up. And there's different abilities across the minifigure range that allow you to do either of these things.
We see our commitment point barrier there. Okay, we're going to go through, and now we're going to fight Hades. And Hades is sitting atop a Cerberus, which is a giant three-headed dog. So Hades is pretty tough. You'll notice that he is a very different model from the other types of enemies we've been fighting. He's bigger, but he's also not really made of bricks. Or the Cerberus isn't made of bricks. So in LEGO terms, this is what would be called a sculpted creature. But like the LEGO brick building system, the sculpted creatures also follow very precise guidelines for how they can be built, how wide things can be, how sharp the corners can be. And our team has been working very closely with LEGO to make sure that when we produce these sculpted creatures, they adhere to all of those LEGO building guidelines. So we've defeated the boss, now we're moving to the treasure room, and we've also completed the presentation. So today we've shown you the mythology world, we've shown you the Forge dungeon, and we've shown you the underworld. We've shown you several of the cool minifigures that you can collect, and we've shown you the cool flashy abilities that they've got.